Quiz review. So we need to solve by factoring. So in your first problem, you're going to get something like this. For x minus 5 equals to 8x squared minus 21x. And the question is, what do I do in order to solve this? What do I do? What should be the first thing that I do? Distribute, right? So that should totally be the first thing. Distribute these two. So 4x times x becomes
4x squared.
4x squared. 4x times a negative 5. X equals to 8x squared minus 21x. Now, what should I do next? Move. I move everything over to the right or to the left?
To the right.
Why to the right?
Wait.
Why to the left? Either way, I'm going to ask why, which way. And there's the right answer. There is
To the right.
Would it be to the
Left.
to this way, which is to the right. And why are we moving it to the right?
So we don't get like.
And exactly. So we want to keep a positive x squared. This is why we need to move this side over to the right side. So when I do this, these two cancel. So this is just 0 equals 8 minus 4 is 4x squared. And this becomes a negative x. Now that we've combined, condensed, simplify, I need to still factor in order to solve. And the question is, what do 4x squared and x have in common? They have an x. So when I factor out an x, what do I have left over? X minus 1. Now that I have factored, if I want to find the solutions, because it has to solve, I need to make sure and I set each one to 0. So can I do anything here, or is it already done? It's done. But on the right side, I have to add 1. And then I have to divide by 4. So I get x equals 1/4. So the answer for this problem is going to be 0, 1/4. This is from section 1.5. So the quiz is over sections 1.5, 3.1, and 3.2, which we just finished. That's what your quiz is about, so you know. Questions on there? No? Number 2, solve by the square root property. So if I have a problem that looks like this, x minus 5 squared equals to a negative 64. Move this up. It tells you to use a square root property. So obviously, what do I need to do? Take the square root of both sides. Now this square root and the 2 cancel, right? So this just becomes x minus 5. And you really don't have to put the parentheses, my bad. So it's just like that. Now, what is the square root of a negative 64?
Oh, isn't it like the I?
I, but with what? 8 and what else?
Negative.
8i
Negative.
plus or minus. So the square root of 64 is 8. Because it has a negative, you need to put the I. Anytime we take a square root, we have positive and negative. Now, what is the last thing I have to do here to solve for? Bring over the 5, so I have to add 5. Very good. This crosses out. X equals 5 plus or minus 8i. So your answer is 5 plus minus 8i. There's your answer, just like that. So So the first three problems are all from section 1.5, in case you have to go back and look at it. First three problems are from 1.5. Any questions on 2? No? Now, for number 3, it's going to say use the quadratic formula. Now, we've already used the quadratic formula. I'm going to write it here. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Do we have to memorize that?
Well, you should. If not, I'll lend you my socks. It's on there. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Will it be on the test?
We'll find out. I don't know. So let's say they give you this problem. 2x squared equals 6x minus 1. Can I go ahead and do what I have to do? Not yet. Why?
You have to bring 2x squared.
Or
Equal it to 0.
I have to set equal to 0, but remember, you always want to keep your x squared positive. So you don't move your 2x squared, but you move 6x and the negative 1 over. So I have to subtract 6x and add 1. Subtract 6x and add 1. Crosses out. 2x squared minus 6x plus 1. We set it equal to 0. You need to make sure it is in the format of ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. They all have to be together, keeping your a positive all the time. The other ones, it really doesn't matter. So who's my a here? Who's my b? Negative 6. And who's my c? 1. Perfect. So now we're actually going to use the formula. X equals negative b plus minus square root b squared.
Say how you can write and parentheses.
So every parentheses needs to be replaced by an a, b, or c from that problem. Okay? So the first parentheses and the second parentheses both get replaced with a negative 6. This one gets replaced with a positive 2, and a 1, and a positive 2. Now, what happens when you have a negative and a negative 6 together, like we have there? It becomes a positive 6 plus minus square root. Negative 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times 2 times 1. So minus 8 over 4. What is 36 minus 8? Is it 28? 26? What is it? 28? So 6 plus minus the square root of 28 over 4. Now, a problem like this, I need to see if I could reduce, simplify. So when you have a square root of 28, the square root of 28 could break up into what? 7 and 4. So the square root of 4 times the square root of 7. But what is the square root of 4? 2 square root of 7 over 4. So we have covered quadratic. We're just reviewing. The only thing here is, can we reduce 6, 2, and 4?
Yes.
They're all reducible by what?
2.
2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 2 1 time. And 2 goes into 4 2 times. The way they will show the answer, they're just going to split it up and give you 2 answers. One like this and one like that. But it means the same thing. It means exactly the same thing. Are we good? Yeah? So this was number 3. Number 4, let's just give you 4 answer choices. Let's say it's y equals x plus 5 squared minus 2. Y equals x minus 5 squared plus 2. Y equals x plus 5 plus 2. And y equals x minus 5 minus 2. So in this problem, let's say we had a graph maybe around here, and it opened up like this, right? So they are going to give you a picture in number 4 on your quiz, and you're going to decide which of those equations it is. It is easy for you just to plug it into the calculator, but please use what we've learned. So when you look at it, where is my vertex at? Negative what? Negative 5, 2. So looking at your H, and your K's, which one has a vertex at negative 5, 2? Well, if this is a positive 2, guess what? That's not my answer. That's not my answer. If it's a negative, then what should I have here? A positive. So my answer is C. Remember, for your H, it was always going to be the opposite. You remember us talking about that? See or no? Sort of, kind of. It's coming back. Number 5. Find the range of y equals negative 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. So we're looking at this information, and we're having, this is the lesson where we had to find, you know, the axis of symmetry. Does it open up? Does it open down? All that information. We had to find 7 things, right? So standard or vertex form?
Standard.
It's in standard, right? So looking at it, that it's in standard, I need to find the vertex. The vertex, remember, I had to do negative b over 2a, and then we have to figure out the y. Do you remember us having to do this? Now, who is your b in this problem? 6. And who is your a? Negative 3. So this becomes negative 6 over negative 6, which is 1. So this is my x. How do I find, that's a question mark, almost looked like a 7. How do I find the y? Plug it in, right? So this becomes negative 3, 1 squared, plus 6 times 1 minus 3. I feel like I missed something somewhere. Negative b over 2a. That's right. Alrighty. Now, what do I get here? 0. Right? So then what is this? 1, 0. So after we did that, we kind of just sketched a 1, 0, which was here. Which way would this graph open? Up or down? This is a number that determines if it opens up or down. So it has to open which way? Down, because it has a negative 8. So if I had to ask you, hey, what is your range? Well, where is it coming in from? What's down here? Negative infinity. And where does it stop? 0. So my answer should be negative infinity to 0 with a little bracket. This is my range. So you have to do some work. You do. Now you could sketch it in your calculator, but you need to know how to do it. Maybe it's going to help you. Maybe it's going to show it. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Questions on it? Questions 6 and 7 and 9. They are just graphs, and it's everything that we've talked about today. So for questions 6, 7, and 10. Oh, just kidding. 6, 7, and 9. Because it stops at 9. There's 9 questions on your quiz. You could graph it also by you knowing if I have x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x plus 1, just making up stuff here. Is this an odd or even? Odd, right? So we look at this, it's odd, positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So at the very end, this graph has to go which way? Up, and it has to go something like this. Now, how many turning points are there? 2, because it's 3 minus 1, so there is 2 turning points. Here's 1, here's 2. Those are your 2 turning points. When it goes from going up to going down, from going down to going up, those are your turning points. So that's information. So you just have to match the graph, basically. Here we go. Let's try this one. 3x cubed minus 10x plus 9. And we're going to say between -3 and -2. 3x cubed minus 10x plus 9. So what is the thing we have to do here? Plug it in. So first we plug in the -3. When you plug it into the calculator, please make sure you put parentheses. If not, it's going to give you the wrong answer. So what is -3 to the third power? -27 is correct. This becomes a positive 30 plus 9. Now, 3 times a -27 is a -81 plus 39. And what is -81 plus 39? Negative for sure, you're right.
58 says that. I don't know.
40.
48. 42.
It should be 42.
Thank you.
Now we have to plug in a who?
-2.
-2. So -2 cubed is -8 plus 20 plus 9. So this becomes a -24 plus 29, which is a 5. So our answer is going to look like f of -3 equals -42. F of -2 equals a positive 5. And the answer is yes, because it switches. One is negative and one is positive. So your quiz is 9 questions. That's it.